war. Officially, females can't fight, but 22 American women troops have lost their lives in Afghanistan. Pentagon correspondent Chris Lawrence now.
When the fighting started in 2001, this young soldier had no idea what she was in for.
Did you know today's Army would be so different than the one you joined?
No. Initially, I was said the Army's going to change. What I didn't realize is how many different ways it was going to change.
Go ahead and draw up in the kidney.
Through 2 deployments in Afghanistan and 1 in Iraq, Staff Sergeant Kelly Rodriguez did jobs that didn't exist 9 years ago. In 2006, she was one of the first female combat medics to deploy with Special Forces teams, spending a year in remote parts of Afghanistan.
It worked out because in future deployments, that unit has taken several females down there to do that mission.
Stand by for 2 seconds.
This year, her second Afghanistan deployment took her to the border with Pakistan during the most violent months of the war.
Did I change? Yeah. I saw a lot. I saw a lot of injuries. And I think that changes somebody.
She was single during the first deployment. Then she married another soldier and now has 3 boys at Fort Bragg.
So how do you guys do? Good.
How did it go coming back from deployment and having to be mom again?
Perfect example is my youngest son was 3.5 when I came home, and I told him to do something. He said, "Mama, you're not the boss. Daddy's the boss." And I'm like, "Well, Mama's home now."
Since 2001, about 250,000 American women have served in war zones. Female door gunners man the weapons on helicopters. Dog handlers patrol IED alleys, searching for hidden bombs. And last spring in Afghanistan, I followed a female engagement team of Marines who go into the homes of Afghan women.
They're definitely a key player in getting information.
Women still can't be assigned to ground combat teams. But for years, commanders have been getting around Pentagon policy by attaching them to units. The Marine Corps had to impose a time limit. So in Afghanistan, every 6 weeks, the female engagement teams go back to a big base for 1 night, then reattach with their combat unit for another 45 days.
It's just a nonsensical policy. And we've been living with it for 9 years, and it does confuse the on-the-ground commanders.
Lori Manning runs the Women in the Military Project and says she's seen more changes in the last decade than all the years since World War II.
In these wars, women are shooting and killing, and they have not done that in U.S. wars as members of the military at any time in the past.
And as jobs expanded, so did the military's ability to accommodate a woman's personal life.
What was expected of women in the military 10 years ago?
It seemed like they were, I don't want to say ridiculed, but they were like, "Oh, she has to leave early because she got a kid." And there was like almost a resentment.
And now?
I think it's easier for women because, you know, you're a mom. Nothing's going to change that. So it's nice to know, hey, I can go home and I'm not going to get talked about tomorrow for skipping out on a detail.
And CNN's Chris Lawrence joining us now from the Pentagon. And Chris, a quick one for you. What's next for women in the military?
Well, Tony, you know, just last week, Defense Secretary Robert Gates said that he sees a day when women will be involved in special forces. You know that we know that the first class of Navy female submarine officers, they're in sub school right now. They could potentially be in the fleet by next year. You know, I was talking to a lot of people in the building about this. They said, you know, a lot of the qualities that say even for special forces, swimming long distances, running long distances, processing a lot of information very quickly, women can do that just as easily, just as well, or if not better than men. The key, they said, comes down to strength. With some of the jobs that still require brute physical strength, you know, even one very capable female officer I talked with said, I can go to the gym like mad. I'm just never going to be as strong as some of the men. So that would be the one hurdle. But again, when you look at what some of these unit commanders are already doing, there is a you know, sort of a growing sense that perhaps the policy needs to catch up to what's already going on there on the ground.
Yeah, sounds like it. All right, at Pentagon, Chris Lawrence was. Chris, appreciate it. Thank you. Afghanistan's